So, welcome back to another Live with Ashley. Welcome back to another Live with Ashley. It has been a few days. I took a few days off to just kind of reset, and my God, am I glad I did that because the reset was necessary. So, we're coming off of Resurrection Sunday, and we thank God that the tomb is empty, the grave is empty, and He rose on the third day. And I love that for us because what it says is that we are in need of a Savior, that we have access to the throne of grace because He went and died on Calvary. So I am just thankful to God that we are able to celebrate His life and that we're able to have something to look forward to, being more abundant in our thought processes and being more open to all the promises that he has for us. So, I want to give you guys three ways that you can shift your life right now. This is not something that is going to take a lot of work. All it's going to take is small obedience, small steps of obedience. If you want to shift your life, three ways you can shift your life today. I know we see a lot of videos where there are people that will give you three tips to have success and all these other things, right? That's cool, but you actually need small wins because the small wins are going to be your dopamine hits. Your dopamine hits are going to help you continue to show up. If you are not getting some type of intrinsic or extrinsic reward, you will not show up like you would like to show up. You will show up discouraged because it's like, man, I did it for a day. Where is my six pack? Where is my hair growth? I have done all of the internal work, it seems, but nothing's changing. And so, what triggered the shift 3 months ago, and you could even say 3 days ago? So, 3 months ago, I told the Lord that I wanted to live my life differently. I wanted 2026 to look different. And his response to me was, you have to be intentional about everything. You have to be purposeful in everything. You have to show up even when you don't feel like it. So if you're looking to shift, if you're looking to make a difference in your life, you have to do these three things to start. Okay. The key is to start. Okay. You need to start. Start. Well, what do I start, Ashley? And if this is your first time watching me, my name is Coach Ashley, or you can just call me Ashley. It's fine. um, but my name is Coach Ashley, and I help high achieving, high performing men and women, especially women, overcome the gaps that are in their life that are keeping their brilliance from being brilliant, keeping their light from shining. A lot of people that are very brilliant, very wise, they typically have a hard time with trusting God. They have a hard time with faith. They also have a hard time with actually following through on promises that they have for themselves. Okay. And so you could be considered successful on paper or considered successful by your own standards or definition, or maybe the world standards or definition, but there are some things that you want to change so that you can be more successful. And so how I shifted was making these three small disciplines. Number one, I had to make a decision. I had to make a decision that I wanted different. I had to make a decision that where I was could not continue. I had to make a decision. That's your number one thing. You have to decide exactly what it is that you want. You have to decide that this life is no longer for me. And so I made a decision. I said, okay, this is what I want to do. Next, you have to surrender. Okay. You have to surrender your way for his way. And who is his way? God's way. You cannot do this by yourself. There's not enough motivation in the world that will cause you to show up and do these things. You have to do it his way if you want to see your life change. Okay. Next, after I made a decision, and then I surrender, like, okay, this is all of the things that I want to do. I literally have what is called a surrender session. I do my surrender sessions with my coaching clients, and we talk through all of the things that they have on their plate. We essentially do a brain decompress, a brain unload, offload. We put it on paper, and then we ask God what it is that you need to focus on and pick up. Okay. And so, with that, after I have made a decision, then I surrender even those decisions to God. I ask God, what's next? What should I be doing first? Or what was the last thing you told me to do? That's what I do. And so, since I have started doing that, since I've started doing that, I have seen a noticeable difference in my brain, a noticeable difference in how my brain processes things, a noticeable difference in how I have showed up. Now, 3 days ago, something shifted in me again. And I heard the unction of the Lord say, I need you to cook dinner for your family tonight. And I was like, okay, you want me to cook dinner? So dinner it is. What's on the menu? And, without overthinking it, I went to right into planning, like, okay, this is what we're going to have. This is what we're going to have. So on and so forth. And my children, my husband, my family, they enjoyed the meal a lot. And I enjoyed making it. And something shifted in me. I'm still trying to articulate what it was that shifted in me outside of it just being obedience. When you obey God, when you obey God in the little things, it makes it easier for you to show up and obey God in the big things. So sometimes we want to get the big things out the way. It's like, yeah, I'll obey God if it's going to be this, and this. Then I'll obey God. If I'm going to understand exactly why he's telling me to do it, then I'll obey God. No, God said, cook for your family. I cook for my family, and something shifted in me. God said, get up and pray at 6 a.m. I missed it a little bit on the first day, but the second day I got up and I prayed. It was only like 10 minutes. But when I say I had grace, I had capacity to get a lot of things done that I otherwise would have been procrastinating on as it relates to myself. Because how many of y'all can show up for other people? No problem. It's easy. If your kids had to be at school at a certain hour, it's easy for you to do. But when it comes to you, you put yourself on a back burner because you're going to allow yourself all types of excuses. You're going to say things like, oh, well, you know, I'll be okay. And I understand that, I have a lot on my plate. So if I don't get up and exercise for myself, then it'll be okay. But if your child needs new cleats or they have a game or they have to be at school at a certain time for their field trip, you're going to do everything in your power to make sure that you're there. Why do we do that? You'll share your friend's business post. You'll share your family members' success stories or, motivational speeches or what have you. But when it comes to you, now you're struggling to share your post even just once a week. Do you know? Somebody said this to me and I thought it was so powerful. These big companies, big corporations, they spend thousands of dollars on marketing. They can do one commercial, the same commercial for, let's say, 30 to 60 days, 30 to 90 days. They'll do the same campaign commercial, and they will show you that same, what the youngins call ads now, okay, because they got ads now. But we know them as commercials. They will show you that commercial 100 times a day. Next time you're watching Netflix, if you have the ad version or anything that you have the ad version of, I want you to count how many times they show you the same commercial. They have not put new text on it. They have not put new people in the commercial. They are showing you the same ad every single day. What do you think is happening to your brain with you seeing the same thing every day? Well, I'll tell you what's happening to your brain. Repetition breeds decision. They want to show you these ads a lot because they want you to make a decision on their product. They are hoping that as you're paying with your attention, that's why they say pay attention. When you pay these people with your attention, they are hoping that you will eventually pay them with your presence or with your profit, with your paper. That's what they're looking forward to. But we as people, especially those that are in business, those that are, they have goal, you have goals, you're writing a book, you've been sitting on ideas, so on and so forth. You will literally only post one time about your business. You will post about your business one time or post one time about your event and then expect people to just, show up. When they're showing you the same 10, 15, 20, 30-second commercial, they're showing you it over and over again, and you watch it every time, and you're paying them with your attention. And so the reason why a lot of these companies are successful is because they are comfortable with promoting themselves. They are comfortable with making the decision that, hey, I'm in the business of making money. I'm in the business of being in business. And so that requires a level of decisioning, right? You make a decision that I'm going to sell this product. You make a decision, I'm going to lose this amount of weight. And if you don't keep that decision in front of you every day, if you don't keep telling yourself, we're going to lose this weight, we're going to lose this weight, we're going to make a decision to lose the weight, whatever the case may be, you cannot expect yourself to actually pay attention to it. So once you make a decision, then you surrender it to God, and then you ask God what to pick up. You have to keep that thing in the forefront every single day for at least 90 days if you want to see any type of progress made on that decision. And so the three things that shifted in me was obedience, capacity, and then understanding that I am not God, that God is God, and I only need to obey him because he can see around the corner what I cannot. In my Bible study, we were reading 1 Samuel 15. Was it 1 through 12 today? We were reading about how Saul's one step of disobedience caused an entire population of people to be uh, threatened years, decades later. That was the Amalekites. So King Saul was called to utterly destroy the Amalekites, and he did not. He destroyed some of them, but he did not destroy all of them. And so when he didn't destroy all of the Amalekites, including their leader, King Agag, he caused a ripple effect. So our disobedience or our indecision causes a ripple effect. And that ripple effect is usually not just going to affect you, but it's going to affect everyone else that was assigned to you making that decision. So you think you applying for a job, or you think you losing the weight is just about you. And this is why it doesn't stick sometimes, because we are looking at a me-centric goal or a me centric decision, and we're not looking at how this decision can serve other people. So, how is it that if I don't promote my business, if I don't put myself out there because I want to be in friendships, or I want to have a good husband or a good wife, whatever your reasoning or decision is, until you are fully surrendered, obedient to the will of God, your one decision or indecision is going to disrupt nations. And so when King Saul kept Agag alive, his decision to keep one piece of the Amalekites alive, which was their ruler, which I thought was odd to, like, of all people, you would keep the ruler of those people that God wanted to utterly destroy. And not only the ruler, he kept their sheep, their ox. He kept a lot of their spoils. So now you have accursed things. But back to the point, he kept King Agag. King Agag then produced a lineage called a lineage that produced Haman. Haman was the one that threatened to take the lives of all of the Jews in Queen Esther's story. That's the connection. That's what disobedience does. When we don't make a decision to change our life in the little things, we literally we'll run the risk of somebody else's life. That'll be casualties of war. The Jews in Esther's time was literally a casualty of Saul's disobedience and keeping King Agag alive. So I want to ask you, what level of disobedience have you been in because you have not made a decision? Because you are afraid to make a decision, or you're not sure if it's the right decision. Guess what? The beautiful thing about making a decision or about obedience, if you miss the mark, there is a such thing called grace. After, of course, you've asked God. If you haven't asked God, you can't just be out here all willy nilly. You got to get out here and ask God. And once you ask God and you have an unction or you have a peace about something, where was the last thing that God told you, and you decide to move on it. And when you take the first step, then he'll unleash the next directive. But until then, he's not gonna tell you nothing else. He's gonna look at you and be like, okay, when you're ready to obey on this one thing, then we'll move forward. When you're ready to let me take the wheel, then I'll start driving. But God doesn't take the wheel for us because we have become too trusting of ourselves, and we have taken his place. And now we're feeling all this pressure because the pressure that was supposed to be on God, which he has the capacity for, we have accepted. And make sure you guys are liking the live and sharing this with somebody, because somebody needs to hear this. They're stuck in analysis paralysis, and they're looking at the little mundane things as how is this going to lead me closer to what God wants me to do? Well, God says, if you will be faithful over a little, I will make you ruler over much. You can't even make up your bed every day. Why would God give you more space or more responsibility when the little things you're not able to do? You can't keep your own bedroom clean, and you want a whole mansion that you see somebody else have on their Instagram or TikTok. You want to have what other people have, but you're unwilling to do the things that those people are willing to do. And so the exact small disciplines that help is helping me, has helped me and is helping me, is start finishing what I start. Not moving on to something else before I complete this task. And I know that's a lot easier said than done. But the reality is, if your life depended on it, you would slow down. You would slow down. You would slow down. Getting up in the morning and just saying, Lord, what's your will for today? What's your will for today? And then surrendering your to-do list. Okay? Like, these are all the things I have to do. You can have a list, that's fine. But you need to have contingency in that list that is going to allow space for the Holy Spirit to tell you exactly what is needful and what is fruitful outside of what is productive. Okay. And so, how this connects to your nervous system. So, back to the story of King Saul, because he disobeyed God and he took the place of God by making a decision in place of God, he now was tormented mentally. He started having depression because when you step from under the lordship of God, you are saying, I don't need you to God. And when he did that, now the weight we talked about the in the Bible study, we talked about the weight of God's glory is too heavy for any man or woman to ever deal with. And so Saul took on that weight of God's glory, what was supposed to be God's glory. He took on that weight. And then, as a result of his disobedience, as a result of him thinking he could be God, he received the stress, the pressure that comes with the weight of being a God, of being God. God has the capacity for these things. We don't. It's for a reason because we need God. And so in that moment, Saul thought he did a good thing. He thought he did a good thing. And indeed, maybe he did by saving the spoils and keeping the fat rams and all that. But was it a God thing? And so a lot of the things that we feel like we have to do is really just us making a decision for ourselves. It's not us taking what God wants us to do and being effective in what he wants us to do. So it says Proverbs 3:5-6, lean not on your own understanding, but in all of your ways acknowledge God. Acknowledge him in all of your ways. And so that mental torment was a result. So his nervous system was dysregulated to the point where he had to have what he, unbeknownst to him, his successor come to minister to him just so he could rest. He literally watched the person that was called to take his spot. He watched him grow up. That person served him. He ministered to him while he was in mental torment. And so when we don't do these small disciplines every day, there is no peace. There is no clarity. There's going to always be chaos. It's the small disciplines that causes us to have clear pathways, to have neurological pathways that are strong and healthy and not toxic and not keeping us in freeze, flight, or fight. Because all of our neurological systems, they thrive in obedience. And so if you want to have a regulated mindset, you have to make the shift from disobedience to obedience. And so what triggered me doing these small disciplines was the fact that I was tired. I was more exhausted than I needed to be, and I couldn't figure out why. I couldn't figure out why. And how it shows up in your relationships looks like irritability, lack of trust in your significant other, or you're not present for your friends. You don't have capacity for nothing else because you're out here trying to play God and it'll never work. And so when I started to honor God in the mundane things, it helped me to realize what Luke 16:10 was saying. Faithful over a little, you'll be ruler over much. So if you have a dream, a vision, a hope for great things, I'm here to tell you that if you want to see those great things come to pass, master the mundane. Master the mundane and watch how your clarity comes back to you. Watch how your peace returns to you. Watch how more capacity you start to develop. God is not looking for perfect people. He's looking for progressive people, people that are walking in the light of his will. That's what God is looking for. And so everybody likes to talk about the Proverbs 31 woman, right? But no one really talks about how this was a woman that was obedient. We talk about just the 31st chapter, but what about the other 30 chapters prior to Proverbs 31? Proverbs 31 is the encapsulation of all of the Proverbs in one book, one chapter. It is the encapsulation of the type of man the Proverbs 31 woman should have, the type of woman she needs to be. There's scriptures all throughout Proverbs that talks about how she is to be. 31 is just the it's a term 30 Proverbs 31 is just the entendre. Like I don't even know what to call it. But Proverbs 31 is just the last hoorah to tell you everything that the other 30 verses has communicated to you can be summed up. A lot of it can be summed up in this Proverbs 31 woman, because it talks about the contentious woman, it talks about the wise woman, it talks about the man that is given over to anger, so on and so forth. God is modeling, amongst other lessons that's in Proverbs, guys. God is modeling in all of the Proverbs at the very end what a man and woman should be, what their household should look like, and what their lives should produce. That's what Proverbs 31 is highlighting. Okay. And so when you start to build on the little habits, when you start to grow in the little things, when you can be consistent in just 10 minutes a day, 15 minutes a week, 20 minutes every 3 weeks, 30 minutes. When you can do that, master the mundane. When you master the mundane, I'm telling you, the capacity begins to open like this. The capacity opens so much greater for you when you can master the mundane. And so I want to open it up for any questions that you all might have. Any questions that you all might have for me before I get off of here, because guess what? I'm gonna be I'm gonna be disciplined with my time. What I realized today was the reason why a lot of people don't get a lot of things done, because they always want to sit down. Stop sitting down all the time. Get up. Stop being lazy. Do what you need to do. Do what it is that God has called you to do. Do what you're called to do. If you know you got laundry to get done, don't go sit down and take a nap unless you just actually need one. But don't leave them clothes in the washer and then them clothes be stank in the morning that you're spending more money. It's a reason why we gotta be obedient, okay? Obedient, okay? Obedience truly is better than sacrifice. I want y'all to go read that book of 1 Samuel 15. Read that book. It's also found in 1 Samuel 1, where Hannah said she's crying out for a child, but God also needed a prophet. And so Hannah still had to obey God after he gave her that prophet. He could have simply she could have just said, "Thank you for my child," and went on about her merry way and not brought him back so that he could serve in the temple and be God's prophet. And we all know that Samuel was one of the greatest prophets and last judges that was in the land of Israel or Jews. Don't get me lying on the location, but y'all get what I'm saying. Okay, obedience is better than sacrifice, and if you can obey God in the little things, the little moments where He's like, "Don't go there, don't wear that, don't say that," then He can start to trust you with more. He'll start to talk to you more as well. You'll start to feel a lot more clearer. It's in the little things. It's in the mundane things. It's in the mundane. So, 3 things to shift. Make a decision, then surrender that decision and everything that you have on your plate to God, and then ask God what it is that you need to pick up or focus on. Okay? That's what you need to do. Those 3 things to shift your life. If you want to see your life shift, if you want to grow If you want more for yourself, you have to start mastering the little things. If you want to be a content creator, if you want to be a business owner, start with the little things. Do something. Commit to 10 minutes a day. Then, after you do that for 7 days, commit to 15 minutes a day. Another 7 days, 20 minutes. If your goal is to go to sleep earlier, get into bed 30 minutes earlier every single day. The truth is, you can do it. You just don't think you're worth it. Everybody else around you is being successful, and a lot of people are not as brilliant as you are. It's like, why are they more successful? Well, because they're willing to just put all gas and no brakes. They're willing to just shoot their shot and say, you know what, I'm going to just put it out there because they've detached themselves from their failure. They've detached themselves from their business or a concept or their ideas. It's just like, I'm not a failure. Like, hey, it just failed. And I know a lot of people get stuck again in analysis paralysis. So you analyze. I recently saw a video that said people will plan because they're addicted to the idea. They get a dopamine hit of how successful it could possibly be. But then when it's time to actually execute, when you have to go through that waiting season when it doesn't look like anything is moving on it, then you're just like dopamine is going down. Now you're not motivated. But when God calls you to do something, the motivation will leave, but the grace will not. He will give you grace to continue. You still have to make a decision that regardless of what it looks like right now, I'm gonna keep moving forward. Okay? Hmm. Too small. That little piece of ice. Hold on. Excuse me out. But that's it. That's all. I will be back on here by the grace of God to continue this conversation with you guys tomorrow. I was on here earlier, y'all, and I was like, what am I even talking about? And I was like, okay, Lord, I'm just being obedient because you told me to get on here. And that's what I did. So y'all stay encouraged. Y'all share this live with somebody else. Follow me if you have not followed me yet. I want you to also go to the link in my bio. If you are a high achieving woman, high performing woman, the pillar of the family, the go-to girly, I want you to register for my upcoming retreat called the Strong Friend Retreat. It's going to happen here in beautiful Jacksonville, Florida, September 3rd through the 6th. And we're going to have a good girl time. We're going to get our nervous systems, y'all going to get your nervous system regulated because by the grace of God, mine is regulated. Do you hear me? What the old folks say the back in the day? Mind regulator. He is a mind regulator. He will regulate your mind. So y'all stay encouraged. Y'all follow the page. Subscribe to my YouTube channel if you're on YouTube at Ashley M. Sturgis on all platforms. I love you with the love of the Lord, and I will talk to you all again here soon. Bye.